perspective. If you're returning, welcome back. I so appreciate you doing so. And if you're new to my channel, I would kindly ask that you subscribe, like, share. I think you'll find the content interesting and quite useful, even if in the moment it may not seem so. It's more of a time release thing. So anyway, I joke, but welcome all. And there's so many things that I wanted to get into over the course of the last 2 weeks in terms of information to present to you. But a couple things were going on. Number one, what took place internationally in Afghanistan within the last week or two. All I want to say about this, because I don't want to state the obvious, I will state it, the colossal betrayal to the American people, to the troops, our American troops, and our allies' troops, the preposterous budget out of our tax dollars that ended up in the hands of our largest nemesis that, according to them, took down the towers, right? Well, they just put, what's the budget? What was spent there? About $1 trillion over 20 years, that they say anyway. Over $1 trillion that was basically just handed over to our sworn enemies. This is treasonous. This is nothing short of treason. And the idiot who pretends to be in power, sitting in the White House, and his insufferable vice president, just the cackling laugh is like nails on chalkboard for me, but that's neither here nor there. This treasonous act was, as most of you know, completely orchestrated and planned out. Nobody is that stupid, not even the moron puppet that sits in office, which at this point they all are. Whoever gets in is placed. This atrocity, it's a crime against humanity. Another one, because apparently the pandemic isn't enough of a crime against humanity. Now they gotta layer some more trauma and instill some more fear into the populace by turning over, just handing them how many billions of dollars of the latest technology in weaponry, in fighter planes and helicopters and computers and God knows what else, everything that was left there for them. As I was saying, nobody's that stupid. Not even the dim-witted puppet that sits in the White House. Everything they do is for a greater reason. Aside from the horrific repercussions this will have on the U.S. and we the people, who are always the ones that end up paying the price of psychopathic behavior. Aside from that, aside from stating the obvious, and thank you for indulging me in that, I'm going to leave it at that. But one thing I will say is, and I got this very clearly this weekend, really when it happened, and it was reiterated to me again this weekend when I was thinking about it. The budding romance, this love affair, all of a sudden, between China and Afghanistan is not going to end well between them. These two cultures, first of all, don't see eye to eye on anything. They are both ruthless regimes with no regard for human life. Mark my words, that love affair will not turn out well. they are going to turn on each other. Maybe to our own benefit. So, time will tell. So in light of these continuing developments, and they will continue, because the circus shit show, although poorly scripted, produced, and acted, in the psycho's minds, the show must go on. So in light of what is coming at us from every direction, which all boils down to us losing our freedoms, so where does that leave us after continually being serving after serving of multi-layered shit cake? What do we do? You know, many of us, a good portion of the population, both in this country and abroad, know exactly what's going on. Not everybody is quite so under the spell. For those that are under the spell, it's a foregone conclusion. They're not going to change their minds. They're not going to see things any other way. As I always say, it falls on us who see and who know and who are aware of these crimes against humanity. What are we to do? This is part of the problem. This is the great conundrum, the perpetual stream at this point of crimes against humanity that are inflicted on us, not only here in this country, the U.S., but as we can see, it's a full-on attack on Western civilization. Short of taking it to the streets and it turning into a bloodbath, what are our options? This is something that, for us to come up with solutions, we really need to put our heads together in order for us to unravel ourselves from their tentacles. It's going to take many things, and I don't pretend to have all the answers or even some of the answers to this. I have a couple of suggestions though. There are things that are definitely out of our control. Okay. I'm not one to live in denial about things. Now, obviously, there are so many things in these times that we're living that are completely out of our control. First and foremost, our free will is in a constant state of siege. They are stripping everybody's not only choices, but even their understanding, their belief, their knowing, really, that each individual, we all have free will. And it's time to start exercising that. And by this I don't mean, making matters worse. It's gonna take all of us who are aware, whether individually, collectively, or in groups, communities, that are gonna have to come up with the answers. Nobody's coming to save us. Now here's the sad reality. I've never trusted the government, because when I was little, I could see when people were lying. And whenever I would see politicians, I always could see their lies. So this is nothing new to me. For many people, it's a big shock to the system. Surprise. Welcome to reality. This is the plight of the physical realm. So what to do, guys? The problem is we don't even know where to start. How do we fight the beast, right? If we take a direct approach and attack in whatever that may mean, they're bigger and stronger than us, right? They've got the muscle, they've got the budget, and now here we are in a position where they're coming at us from every direction. This has been something that's been going on, visibly at least, or noticeably, for decades. The division between genders. First, the destruction of family. No, first was the introduction of drugs, hard drugs, which was intentionally introduced to completely demoralize the youth. And I smoke pot, so I'm not sitting here being righteous. I'm talking about hard drugs, cocaine, all the big ones, right? First, they did it with drugs to demoralize and destroy a lot of brain cells, especially, and I'm referring to, hard drugs, not the natural organic ones that the planet produces and are here for a reason. Then the destruction of the family. Then the division between men and women. And of course, the undercurrent through time has been the division between the religions. That's as old as time itself. I noticed this back in the 80s with television shows like Married with Children and even The Simpsons, which I'm not going to go off on The Simpsons right now, but think of how Tool Time even, how men, the head of household, the father figures, the husbands, began being presented to us as bumbling idiots that needed their wife/mommy figure to mother knows best. One of the problems with all these characters that are presented on television is that the unaware, people that don't see through the shit, basically, find it's subconscious. It's not even intentional. It's a natural part, really, of storytelling, in that one, the reader, identifies with the protagonist, usually, unless you're a psychopath, and then you identify with the protagonist, with the antagonist. These broken archetypes, as they're presented to an unsuspecting populace, these viewers that don't see through the layers of bullshit, basically, start identifying or looking for ways to identify with these characters. And that's the genesis of how the programming works. There has to be a point of relatability, right? There has to be some truth in it to stick. And the truth is, women as women, I can't say I have experienced that because I live in the modern world and I've never really seen myself as unequal. That doesn't mean the same to a man, because I am very well aware of our differences, and it's intended to be that way because we are a polarity, male, female, in as much as positive and negative and black and white and day or night are polarities. One can't exist without the other. Okay? But I do have to say that both have been warped beyond recognition. Mostly through both trauma and programming. I mean, this is the loving hand we've been dealt, right? Or that we chose to experience. Or both. Where does this leave us? you know, most of us throw our hands up in the air, right? Like, what can I do? What can I do? Short of, taking it to the streets and it turning into a bloodbath, which is never a good idea. That's what they want, really. They want us destroying each other. We can't give that to them. And, I've given this a lot of thought, and it's frustrating. It frustrates my Mars and Capricorn to not be able to come up with a effective strategy that could go toe-to-toe with what we're being faced with, but I think that would be delusional on my part, and I'm far from that. But what my Mars and Capricorn has shown me, we can take small steps. And one thing that I do propose, and of course it's knowing humanity, that only a small percentage of the population would actually follow through with something like this because of the addiction to what I'm going to talk about, is if there's one thing that is literally within reach for us to do in terms of taking action, would be hitting the power off button on the remote control. Blacklisting television. Yes, you can live without television. I've done it for many years. Needless to say, things appear insurmountable right now. However, there's always a way out. There's always something that presents itself that is the path of least resistance for us, that would prove to be a path of most resistance for those in power. And it is literally and it is literally within reach. I don't own one, otherwise I'd have the prop. So I don't watch TV. Turn off the television. That means TV, that means cable, and all the more network news. I still know what goes on in the world, but there's a difference between one making the choice as to what one puts one's attention to, and what channels or news sources we give our time, attention, and energy to. I posted this up on Facebook a few weeks ago, Flakebook. I'm not big on social media, which is probably why I only have 153 subscribers to my channel. But I'm going to share and expand on what I posted on Facebook just a few weeks ago, as to the benefits of turning off the TV and the news, specifically the news, but all the programming. It's programming. They've always told us. It's programming. So what would turning off the TV, sorry, my excitement, I just spit at the camera. So what would turning off the TV accomplish immediately? Well, for starters, it would mean 0 programming, 24/7 gaslighting that they subject the viewers to, 24/7 gaslighting. Look it up if you don't know what that is. 0% manipulation. None of these things would take up your headspace. You would be freed of the superimposed stress that is injected into every person that sits in front of the television at any point in time, especially in today's world. Aside from the personal benefits, what would be the external benefits? Well, for starters, it would mean zero advertising dollars to the networks. Zero sales via ads from monopoly corporations, families that think they own the world, and us. What are the companies that can afford advertising? Advertising is very expensive. Very expensive. It brings in to the networks billions of dollars in revenue. All the networks. And this includes cable. Advertising revenue is in the billions. Billions of dollars for the networks that are lying to you, manipulating your brain, injecting you with false information, and driving you fucking crazy if you listen to them. So that's one accomplishment. Sales to the advertisers. And who are the advertisers? Who can afford advertising on network and cable television, especially network television? Are the big mega companies like the pharmaceutical companies. Did you know that CNN's #1 revenue from advertising is from pharmaceutical companies? Yes. Another positive effect is that you would immediately withhold your attention from the psychopaths and their puppets that are hell-bent on controlling your mind, your thoughts, and your actions, and your dollars, while stripping you of them. And most importantly, zero time wasted in this swiftly moving life, which you will never be able to get back again. Man, I'm 55, and I've enjoyed my life a lot. I had a lot of fun in my younger years, in my 20s and 30s. But shit, I wasted a lot of time just hanging out with friends, philosophizing, armchair philosophizing, which, served its purpose and grew me eventually into the person that I am today. But so much time is wasted, and to waste it on programming is the most egregious theft of time that you could do to yourself. Time keeps moving. It stops for no one. Reclaim your headspace. Reclaim peace of mind, which the television, cable TV, the commercials, all of it does nothing but inject into your consciousness, into your psyche. Don't give yourself away so easily. This, of course, is a grand fantasy of mine, to get the entire country, the entire world, to stop watching television and programming and allowing this drivel to seep into our lives and into our preciously short time here. It's unlikely, but even if only a portion of the population would do this, half, shit, even a third of the populace, the repercussions would be felt. The hits to their income would be felt. The hits to their sales of these all roads lead back to the elite companies they would take a hit in sales, in revenue, in controlling us, even more importantly. Think about it. Consult it with your pillow. And consider it. That's my little contribution for the day. The other one is, clearly we've got our backs up against the wall. Almost completely. Not fully, but they're working diligently on it. And between all the programming, all the misinformation, all the mind fuckery that just relentlessly spews in our direction. And understandably, all of these factors have, and continue to play a role in rendering us, or making us feel, rather, helpless, useless. What can we do? What can we do? Well, one thing I will suggest, and this worked for me, has worked for me time and again in my own life. When we don't know what to do, we don't know what the answers are, it usually means that we've gotten ourselves as far as we can on our own efforts. That doesn't mean that we've gotten ourselves as far as we can. So at that point, I pray, many people, pray obviously, and suggest turning to prayer, which is certainly helpful. The focus, the intention, the communing, and putting it out to source definitely factors into things. However, what is way more effective than praying, because praying is a one-way conversation that usually entails, yes, some thanks, but more often than not, asking for something that we are either, that we think or we believe we are either unable or unwilling to do for ourselves. You want to come up, Luca? Trying to get up? My dog's trying to get up on the bed. What I suggest now, one thing that you may very well be aware of and have maybe perhaps likely heard before, but I'm going to suggest it here again because we tend to forget these simplest of things sometimes. But I'm going to suggest it. I'm going to bring it up here because, and no doubt this is a suggestion many of you have heard before, so it's nothing new. But it's something that's very easily forgotten and have been completely forgotten by many. And that is when we don't know what to do, and we know that we have gotten as far as we can through our own actions or our own volition, and we really don't know what to do because this is a Goliath that a multi-layered shit sandwich Goliath that we are dealing with. If we can't come up with the answers ourselves, which clearly we're not, because nothing is changing in a beneficial way for any of us up to now. When we don't know what to do, that's when we need to turn to God's source. Not for requests, not for pleas of, oh my God, please help us. And yes, those things, that is very important. But what you need to ask for, each and every one of us, is clarity. Clarity. And if you free your headspace from the media, it will allow room in there for other things more beneficial things, productive things, answers to come forth. It's time to turn within, turn to Source, God, the universe, Jesus, whatever you attribute to the ultimate super consciousness that created, moves through, is, and manifests through all things in both the physical and invisible worlds. Ask, bring me what I need, show me what I need to do. I need an inkling, a feeling, clarity. Clarity is what humanity needs. Not only for others that are blind, but for ourselves. Because it's on us, guys. It's on us to figure this shit, or at least take steps in the right direction. Intelligent, well thought out, well advised, divinely inspired, because that is the only thing where a higher quality, more effective form or solutions will come. We're not coming up with them on our own. So that doesn't mean we can't get any further than we have on our own efforts. It means that we need to reach out beyond ourselves into the greater all that is, that runs and pulsates through each and every one of us. Confirmation. It's thundering. The storm just came through. To bring us the solutions. And they will come if you ask, and you ask with a clear heart and intention. The answers always come in a way that, depending on the individual, in a way that one can identify it, recognize it, understand it, process it, assimilate it, and put it into use. We got nothing else right now, but we have everything. We have God Source, and that includes nature with a capital N, and I'm not just referring to the flora and fauna. I am referring to the forces that have shaped and run through not only this world and each and every one of us, but the entire universe. That's where the answers, the best solutions are going to come through. Because we've been at this fucking bullshit for over how long now? Let's just, I mean, we've been subjected to just atrocities since time immemorial. But let's keep it to our current, most recent times. How long have we been subjected to already? The loss of our freedoms, the loss of our privacy. They shit all over our freedoms. They stripped our freedoms since 2001. 20 years later. Those that we allegedly were stripped our freedoms because of are the ones that have been rewarded with weapons, basically, to take us out on our dollar. And we're still... And then meanwhile, China is gobbling up everything. China insidiously take over everything. And in here, because they are here, they have bought an enormous amount of land in Central America, South America. I'll tell you guys, I had a dream so many years ago. This was before I moved to New Mexico. So this was in the late 90s. I've never forgotten it. I was in a forest, and it felt like the Pacific. It seemed like the Pacific Northwest to me. And there was a Chinese invasion. And it was so real. And I could see the soldiers. Now, whether that's literal, metaphorical, or symbolic, it's happening. It's happening. So before the ticks drain us of our lifeblood, and there's no turning back, we need to get a grip. And we need to turn to the one thing that can help us. And not just through prayer and expecting God or Superman or the Batmobile to pull in and rescue us. Nobody's going to rescue us. It's on us. But the solutions have to come from an enlightened, not only point of view, but most importantly, source. We have nothing to lose by trying, and everything to lose by not. Please think about what I said about shutting off the television and asking for answers. And it's not on any one person also, obviously, to come up with a solution for the maelstrom of misery that we're facing. We all need to pull together. The one little idea here, and a little idea over there, and a little idea over there, what may have first appear to be disparate, separate, non-connected possibilities. That's all it is, are possibilities of solutions, answers. When are divinely inspired, divinely transmitted, and received. And don't doubt that you are receptive or have the ability to receive messages from the divine. That's part of the bullshit we were fed also. It's an encyclopedic laundry list of lies that we have been fed since the beginning of government, of what is government, which the word in itself, government, comes from the Latin mente, which is mind. To govern the mind. So since the inception of what is government, they've been the enemy from the jump. But not all is lost, guys. We just need to really band together, put our heads together, ask a higher source, the only higher source, the ultimate higher source, for help, but help that is mutual and we're willing to participate. If we don't put in our parts, if we don't try to do our part to bring light into what is rapidly becoming a very dark, fucked up situation for all of humanity, we're not going to have anyone to blame but ourselves, especially here in the United States of America, which has, in a very short period of time, become the untied state of America. We have a constitution. We have more power as individuals than anybody else in any other country. Certainly not in any commonwealth, like the Australians, the Canadians, that are still linked to the crown. We're it. If the U.S. goes down, there is nowhere else to go. And that is one of the hallmark cries of Cubans. I'm Cuban American. I'm first generation Cuban American from Miami. And you know what? I think my next video is going to be on the marvels of socialism. And I have much to share in that area, because not only was it the stories of my family growing up. I was born here, but the Cuban culture retained and continues to retain, more so than I think many other cultures that come to this country. Language, culture, history, the food. We assimilate and we love this country. Well, I say we, I was born here, but my people love this country and are eternally grateful. But if we lose this, the Cubans are right. There's nowhere else to go. So viva la libertad. I'll see you next time.